Good morning. It's double shifts for everyone today. This afternoon and this evening, it's the last 32 and the last 16 of the Welsh Open from the Motorpoint Arena in Cardiff, live on Eurosport. So we best begin. Well, first up, it's an intriguing main table. The ultra-talented Thepchaiya Un-nooh against Barry Hawkins, fresh from his World Grand Prix glory. And what about this? It's Judd Trump who goes against a 15-year-old schoolboy from Ebbw in Wales. Action Jackson Page has been grabbing the headlines. Almost makes Jan Bingtawa a veteran. He's 17 years old today, and his gift is the chance to topple the world #1 Mark Selby. Very exciting indeed. It's the Welsh Open. It's the last 32 and last 16 live today on Eurosport from the Motorpoint Arena. And a 4 times Welsh champion, Ronnie O'Sullivan, and the one and only Jimmy White, a rock and roll Eurosport team to talk us through what is a real rock and roll day of snooker. But we're still catching our breath from last night. Ronnie, obviously a big part of that. Every game in the main table was bizarre. We haven't had a chance really to catch up about it. But 3-0 up against Mark Davis, losing 4-3. Does it help that he played well, or so how do you feel after a game like that?
Yeah, because like best of sevens, you know, even at 3-0 up, I knew he was playing well. From when I broke off the first frame, he slotted a long red in, so I thought, you know, he's obviously feeling comfortable. But even at 3-0, you know, it can be one mistake can cost you 2 or 3 frames. And, you know, Mark played really well, to be honest with you. I didn't really do a lot wrong. So I'm not too disappointed, but just obviously I'd love to have still been in the tournament.
You started so well. I mean, you know, when at times when Ronnie's playing Jimmy and it just looks effortless, the first couple of frames. Do you prefer the longer formats, Ronnie, in terms of your style of play? And it's so much harder to catch you.
I think it's more beneficial for the higher ranked player, the player that's used to winning more. I think the best of 7 you've seen from yesterday's play, that obviously a lot of the top players have gone out unexpectedly, but I don't think it's unexpected anymore amongst all the players and the pundits in the game. They know how talented a lot of these guys are in the tournament. They know that if they get off to a 2-0 start, you know, virtually, you know, they're hard to hold back. So it is such a lottery now because of the standard is so high.
Nothing more than a fan's question here. You know, when you were 3-0 up, does Germany pop into your head because you were 4-1 up against Mark King? When does it become a thing psychologically, or is it just lightning struck twice and you go back and move on?
I think Germany was a different thing for other reasons. You know, I didn't feel quite settled because I had stuff away from the table going on. Whereas here, you know, Mark just played well and I was focused right till the end. And I give all I could give, and, you know, I just got beat by the better man on the day. I must admit, my head went a little bit, you know, because I'm thinking 3-0 up, how have I let him back in the game? Yeah. But when I look back on it, I think, you know, he didn't do a lot wrong. I just played a few loose shots, and that's all it takes at this level and this stage of the tournament.
Absolutely. There's so much credit, and if it's a rock and roll day of snooker ahead, to quote Queen, it's a case of another one bites the dust, because the seeds have been falling like you wouldn't believe. I think we've lost 10, Jimmy, of the top 16 seeds, and yesterday was a snooker bloodbath.
Yeah, it was. You know, the bookmakers got a lot yesterday. You know, all the favourites got beat. But as Ronnie says, it is like a lottery. You know, you can have 1 or 2 kicks, or, you know, a couple of flukes against you. All of a sudden you're 2-0 down and you're struggling, or it can be vice versa. You can, as Ronnie was 3-0 up, the guy's not really out the game. You know, he strung a few breaks together to go 3-1. All of a sudden he feels like he's in the game, and, you know, it's only a best of 7. It is really quick.
Judd went through, but even Alex Borg in the last game last night, it could have been 3-1 up, by the way, rather than 2-2. Then we had Mike Dunn playing on the Eurosport player against Mark Selby. He could have been 3-2 up at one stage. So even the seeds that went through yesterday didn't have the best of days yesterday. And it throws up, you know, in such a busy calendar, days like that leave us just scratching our heads, really.
Because I was playing next to Mark Selby and I'm watching his game, and he was lucky to go 3-2 up. Not lucky because he'd done a fantastic clearance, but it could have easily been 3-2 down, and he could have been out as well. And I'm not one for ifs and buts. You know, Mark's a top quality player, and he made that win. But on another day, he might not have made that clearance, and he could have been out. And that's just that shows you what. And Mark's playing all right. I was watching him. He looks like he's queuing well, so he's a danger man. But in his best of 7 formats, I still think you can't make him a certainty.
Yeah. No, there's no certainty. It's best.
I want to be on the one that's the underdog. Yeah. If I'm a betting man.
That's why Barry Owen put the £1 million up, because it's the safest bet you've ever.
though, because this is probably the best British young kid that we've got, and now you're seeing the best Chinese kid. And look at the difference between Bing Tao and this young kid. And I know we've only just seen him, but this is what I'm saying about a generation of snooker that's been lost in the UK. And you'll see in China, they've been building for a generation, and the difference between these two guys is night and day. I'm not saying Page can't be someone for the future, but as they are at the moment, there's like a million miles apart, I think.
You're absolutely right. You know, Bin Tao, at such a young age, he's like such an all-round game. His safety's great, his break building, his temperament, and that's come from, you know, these academies in China and the way they've been coaching the boys. And this Jackson, who's just been playing with Mark Williams, really good raw talent, but so much to learn. He's probably, you know, like a good couple of years behind this Bin Tao.
But he is just 15. I mean, at 15, forget about it. We'll just move on to the first match of today. It's Thepchaiya Un-nooh against Barry Hawkins, and the Hawk has every right to feel confident.
Barry, it's been a brilliant season for you, and the icing on the cake was at the weekend, winning in Preston, the World Grand Prix. You must be delighted the way that things are going right now.
Yeah, I can't ask for much more than that, really. Been consistent most of the season so far, and yeah, I lost a couple of sore ones along the way, and yeah, so finally to get a big win under my belt was yeah, fantastic, really.
Yeah, I mean, obviously when Mark King won in Belfast, everyone was looking at him, but you lost in the final, and you stayed behind at the hotel, had a couple of beers afterwards with all the you know, the crew. That was fun, and you seemed to take it well. In some ways, I'm thinking maybe the Masters defeat was even more difficult to take at the time.
Oh, without doubt, really. Losing the semi-final Masters the way I did was really sore. It took me a good few weeks, really, to even want to start playing again, really. So, yeah, to bounce back and have a good run at the Grand Prix. And I've done all right in Germany as well. I lost to Anthony Hamilton 5-4, and he went on to win it. So, yeah, my form's been there throughout the season, and actually, for once, I actually feel like I deserved to win that last week.
You've been around quite a while, you know, you had a bit of dip in form going back 6 or 7 years. Your career wasn't necessarily going forward. You won the shootout, and after that, lifting a trophy and getting a bit of money behind you, everything seemed to change.
Yeah, strange it was. I was with Paul Mount on Q Promotions as well, and they had Terry on board, so it was basically, as soon as I started working with Terry, he changed a couple of little technical things, and we don't do that anymore. It's more the mental side of things, really. But yeah, it was strange. I started working with him, and then I won the shootout straight away, which was a bit of a coincidence. And then, like I say, from then I got a bit of confidence, although it was only a one-frame thing. But any win gives you confidence. And then I went on to win Australia as well. So yeah, I've just seemed to be tried to improve since then, really, and been a bit more consistent.
You seem to be someone that just basically concentrates on your own game, though, not too much about the other guy.
Yeah, well, more so lately. I never used to be. I used to be intimidated by most of the players, really, who I had respect for. But now, like you say, I've been around a long time, so I've got a bit more experience. And yeah, if I can show some form like I did last week, then there's no reason why I can't hopefully win another one.
A really telling interview with Barry Hawkins. He's basically told us the whole story there. This season, Jimmy, he's a better player. 25% more money, 25% more century breaks, probably about 25% more wins as well. He deserves a lot of credit.
Yeah, he's definitely the man in form. You know, in the semi-final of the Masters, like schoolboy error on his part, and he got beat, and then he's gone on and won that tournament last week, so he's the man in form. But, you know, Un-nooh's a really dangerous player, and if he's firing, Un-nooh, he can beat anyone. So he's got a tough match today, Hawkins.
What is it that's sort of made Barry click this season? What type of player is he to play against now, Ronnie, is compared to maybe 2 or 3 years ago?
I don't think he's any better than he was 2 or 3 years ago. When I played him in the World Championships in 2013 in the final, no one's ever really played that well against me, ever. And that was 4 years ago. I just think that form is fickle. You have good seasons and mediocre seasons, but I think as long as you just keep turning up and you've got the ability that Barry's got, when it clicks for him, he's going to win tournaments and have very good spells like he is at the moment. Yeah. But that can easily change in another 2 or 3 months, you know, and it could be someone else that's flying.
So maybe just having someone like Terry Griffiths just to add, rather than his game improving, just his belief?
Yeah, I think with Barry, I think his weakness would have been probably his mindset. Like he said, if he thought someone was better than him, he had too much respect for him, and that can sometimes hold you back. And I think Terry's helped him with that.
Thepchaiya Un-nooh, is he, Jimmy, the most talented, naturally talented player outside of the top 32 in snooker today?
Oh, by far. You know, he's one of the best players. Comes from Thailand. He's got a good sponsor behind him, and he played Mark Selby in Germany, and that was the worst I've seen anybody play this season. He couldn't make 7, but since he's come here, he's won 2 or 3 good matches, and I think he's sorted it out already. And he's also working with Griffiths, so you know, this boy can pop from anywhere.
Yeah. How does Griffiths manage that if he's got, you know, if he's coaching 2 players playing each other? We've seen him around both tables in our practice shots.
Listen, if both their checks clear, he don't care. But I've done a bit with Terry Griffiths. He's very about, you know, making the person comfortable with their own game, and you know, and bringing the best out of what they've got. And they're 2 different styles of play. Un-nooh is attacking player, and Hawkins is more of a match player. Okay. So you've got to favour Hawkins, but Un-nooh can beat anybody.
Absolutely. It's quite a first game to have today. The crowd are already in their seats, and the Hawk is waiting in the wings. Well, the sky has been grey most of the week, but we don't care, because Eurosport is inside the Motor Point Arena for a whole week of more live snooker. And today is, well, we go all the way from 32 players at the Welsh Open to 8 before we lock the doors tonight. And that middle game, I think, is just intriguing. Judd Trump against Jackson Page, the 15-year-old from Ebbw Vale. And then celebrating his 17th birthday today, Yang Bingtao gets a pop at the world #1 Mark Selby. But Thepchaiya Un-nooh against Barry Hawkins is our first game. Arguably on paper, Jimmy, the closest of all 3.
Yeah, you've got to make Hawkins favourite, man in form, a bit more of an all-round match player, but this Un-nooh can go and blow anybody away.
Absolutely, and that's exactly the point. It could be explosive out there today, Ronnie.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Hawkins is going to play well. You know, he might have a little meltdown because he's obviously been busy the last 2 weeks, so that could happen, but you fancy Un-nooh, he's got Griffiths in his corner. You know, he has been struggling, so, you know, that can turn around any time. And if he starts flying, we could see another Maxi. You never know, because he's that type of player.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Well, listen, we've got, obviously, more than just the one table going. We'll keep people up to date with all the scores. But as it's a special day, last 32 and last 16, there's a 7-foot-tall, very special man out there. Look, I can touch the top of his head. Look, if I get this right, who's going to introduce the players. Here's Rob Walker.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome your players and officials from tables 2 through to 8. It should be a cracking afternoon here in Cardiff.